Can South-South governors deliver the region for APC in 2027? His name is Chukwuemeka. He is 41 years old and he is a mechanic in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. He works from a small workshop behind a filling station on the east side of the city. He fixes cars. He has been doing it since he was a boy watching his uncle work. He has 4 apprentices now. They call him Oga Emeka. Every morning before work, Emeka checks the fuel price at the pump next door. Not because he can control it, but because it tells him what kind of day his customers will have, and therefore what kind of day he will have. When fuel is expensive, people defer repairs. When it drops, they come back. In 2023, Emeka voted for the PDP governorship candidate in Rivers State. He voted on the understanding that his party represented the interests of the South-South, that it stood for derivation revenue, for Niger Delta development, for the interests of communities like his that produce the oil the country runs on, but have historically received so little in return. Then, his governor suspended the democratic process. The man he voted for through Rivers' most contested political crisis was effectively sidelined through a state of emergency that legal scholars questioned. A new alignment was imposed, and his state, like 5 others in the South-South, was effectively delivered to the APC through political arrangements that Emeka's vote never endorsed. Emeka keeps going to work. He checks the fuel price, he fixes the cars. What is happening to Emeka is really about the most important question in South-South politics before 2027. The governors say they control the region now. They are aligned with the federal government. They say this is good for their states. But the question that people like Emeka are quietly asking, the question that will be answered at the ballot box, is whether governor alignment actually translates into votes. Can South-South governors actually deliver the region for Tinubu in 2027? Or is there a gap between the map the politicians have drawn and the choice the communities will make? Before we go deeper, I just want to say thank you. Since NaijaNewsWatch started, the support, the comments, the likes, and every single subscription have helped this channel grow beyond what I imagined. If you have been enjoying these in-depth political breakdowns and you want to see more videos like this, the best way to support the channel is by subscribing. It really motivates me to keep researching, digging deeper, and bringing you clear, fact-based analysis. Now let us get into the story, because what happens next changes everything. Let us set the foundation, because the South-South political story of 2025 and 2026 is one of the most dramatic regional shifts in Nigerian political history, and it happened faster than most observers were prepared for. In 2023, the APC controlled exactly one South-South governorship, Cross River, in a region of 6 states that, according to government data, produces approximately 93% of Nigeria's crude oil. The ruling party had a single foothold. By June 2026, all 6 South-South governorships are under APC control or management through a combination of formal defections, political arrangements, and the specific Rivers State situation. Delta's Sheriff Oborevori formally joined the APC. Akwa Ibom's Umo Eno formally joined. Bayelsa's Doyediri formally joined. Enugu's Pitamba joined. Technically southeast, but part of the same political wave that swept the oil-producing corridor. Rivers State remains constitutionally complex, managed through a combination of federal emergency powers, Wike's Rainbow Coalition, and Fubara's constrained APC alignment. Cross River was already APC. According to political analysts who have been tracking the defections, the movement is unprecedented in its speed, its scope, and its symbolism. None of these transitions happened through new elections. None involved voter referendums. They happened through decisions made at the governor level. Decisions that the communities those governors represent were not formally consulted about. The question that makes this story urgent in June 2026 is not whether the governors crossed. They did. The question is what the crossing produces. Government officials and APC spokespeople say it represents a realignment that will produce better development outcomes for the South-South through closer federal alignment. Opposition figures and community leaders argue that it represents political capture of the oil-producing region that serves the interests of political elites rather than communities. Independent analysts say the 2027 election will test which reading is correct, because the only meaningful measure of whether governor alignment translates into community benefit is whether the communities vote for the same party their governors just joined. Now, let us look at the institutional framework, because to understand whether governors can actually deliver regional votes, you need to understand what tools they have and where the limits of those tools are. The first tool is the state party machinery. When a governor joins a party, he brings the state party secretariat, the state party chairman,
the local government chairman, and the ward-level party structures under his direction. In theory, this gives him a ground-level mobilization network that reaches from government house to individual polling units. In practice, the quality and independence of that network varies significantly. A ward party official who was appointed by a governor under PDP does not automatically become an enthusiastic APC mobilizer because his governor crossed. He becomes someone who is calculating his own interests in the new configuration. The second tool is public resource allocation. According to government statistics, Rivers State received 114 billion naira in derivation revenue in the first 5 months of 2025 alone. Governors who control state budgets, LGA allocations, and the discretionary deployment of government contracts and projects have significant capacity to reward politically aligned communities and withhold resources from communities that resist alignment. This creates a specific patronage leverage that state parties in party-cohesive states use effectively. The third tool, and its limit, is the secret ballot. Whatever a governor does with his party machinery and his public resource allocation, Nigerian presidential elections are conducted by secret ballot. INEC's BASTUS technology has made the accreditation process more transparent. The result transmission through IREV has made some forms of result manipulation harder. A voter who has been told by his ward chairman to vote APC, who has received a LGA project in exchange for community political compliance, can still enter the polling booth and vote differently. The governor's machine can influence the voting environment, it cannot control the vote. According to independent analysts, the gap between governor-level party alignment and presidential voter behavior is documented by the 2023 election record itself. Plateau State's governor won for APC at the governor level, while Peter Obi won Plateau at the presidential level. In the same election cycle, in the same state, voters split their ballots between party levels. That split ticket precedent is the most important contextual fact for understanding whether South-South governors can deliver for Tinubu in 2027. Now, let us go deeper, because the question of whether South-South governors can deliver for Tinubu in 2027 has specific answers in specific communities, and those answers are more complicated than either the APC's optimistic map or the opposition's confident resistance claims. Let us start with what political analysts say the governor delivery machine actually produces at its most effective. When a state governor is fully aligned with the presidential candidate, according to political analysts who study Nigerian elections, 3 things happen that are measurable. First, the state security deployment is managed in ways that are more permissive of APC voter mobilization and less permissive of opposition mobilization. Second, the public narrative environment, through state-owned media, government social media, and the communications of public officials, consistently presents the president and the party in a positive light, making the information environment of voters in that state less balanced than in opposition-controlled states. Third, the LGA machinery, chairmen, secretaries, ward councillors are active agents of presidential campaign mobilization in their communities, supplementing the formal party campaign with ground-level person-to-person outreach. These 3 effects are real and measurable. They produce a presidential vote advantage that is distinct from any pure preference polling would show. But here's where the South-South analysis requires specific attention, because the South-South has a set of community dynamics that make the governor delivery model less reliable than it is in, for example, the Northwest. According to researchers who study Niger Delta political culture, the South-South, particularly the Ijaw communities, has a documented history of asserting community-level independence from elite political alignment. The Ijaw National Congress, the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, and the community-level town hall associations that organize the daily political life of riverine communities are not extensions of the governor's political machine. They are independent institutions with their own authority structures. When those institutions align with the governor's direction, the governor's machine is amplified. When those institutions resist the governor's direction, as has been documented in the current cycle, the governor's machine faces organized community-level opposition. According to community leaders and civil society organizations quoted in recent reporting, the South-South community response to the APC consolidation is not uniform. Former governors Odige Oyegun of Edo, Rotimi Amaeti of Rivers, and Lialel Imoki of Cross River are, according to reports, building a resistance operation in the region. Ijaw youth groups and community associations have publicly expressed displeasure at the political arrangements that were made without their consultation. The Pan-Niger Delta Forum has made statements about what observers describe as the political takeover of the oil-rich region. Here's the pattern interrupt that changes how you should read the entire South-South political map. According to a 2023 Bayelsa state government report, Communities in the oil-producing zones of the South-South have an average life expectancy of 41 years compared to a national average of 61 years. According to international environmental organizations, including the United Nations Environmental Programme, decades of oil extraction have left significant environmental damage in communities across the Niger Delta, with contamination of water sources and agricultural land that the communities depend on for survival. These are not political facts. They are physical facts about what life is like in the communities whose governors just joined the party of the federal government that manages the oil extraction. The governors crossed to the APC. The contaminated water did not change. The 41-year life expectancy did not change. The incomplete NDDC projects did not change. And the voters in those communities, people like Emeka in Port Harcourt, know this, not from analysis, from experience. Now, let us look at the specific communities that are most resistant to the governor delivery model and why. Rivers State is the most complex. According to court documents and media reports,
the political arrangement that brought Rivers State into APC alignment required Governor Fubara to accept constraints on his political future, specifically, according to reports, a commitment not to seek a second term and recognition of the political authority of Minister Wike. According to media reports, published as recently as June 2026, the peace arrangement between Fubara and Wike is showing signs of strain. Fubara has been endorsing assembly candidates across rivers that are loyal to his political network. Wike has accused him of breaching the terms of their arrangement. This is not a harmonious political machine. It is a coalition under internal tension in the state the APC most needs to deliver cleanly. Bayelsa is the home state of former President Goodluck Jonathan. According to political observers, Jonathan's political positioning, his sustained silence on the 2027 election, his proximity to the Tinubu administration, as documented in recent reports, and his denial of a widely reported 500 billion naira offer to contest against Peter Obi, shapes the political environment for every community decision in the state. Bayelsa's PDP history, its Jonathan legacy, and the specific alignment of its current APC-converted governor make it a state where community loyalty to historical PDP identity may be more durable than governor-level alignment suggests. Delta and Akwa Ibom are states where the governor defections were most recent and where the community political networks, particularly the traditional ruler councils and the town union associations, have not formally committed to APC presidential alignment at the community level, even as their governors have at the elite level. According to political analysts, these states are where the gap between governor alignment and community voter behavior is potentially widest. The silent players in this story are the community-level institutions, the town unions, the traditional ruler councils, the women's market associations, the youth development groups that operate below the political class's attention and that represent the actual daily political conversations of South-South communities. These institutions are not in the newspapers, they are in the community meeting halls, and their collective reading of the 2027 political environment is more consequential for actual voting behavior than anything that happens in a governor's government house. Now, before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Based on everything we have uncovered so far, what is your own reading of the situation? Do you think the evidence points in one direction, or is there another angle we are missing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them carefully, and some of the best discussions happen there. Now let us continue, because the next part of this story changes how everything we have discussed fits together. Let us come back to Emeka in his workshop in Port Harcourt. He is checking the fuel price every morning because it tells him how his day will go. He does not follow politics closely. He follows the consequences of politics, in the price of fuel, in the condition of the road his customers drive to reach him, in whether his apprentices' parents can afford to keep them in school. For Emeka, the South-South political realignment has a specific daily consequence that has not changed despite the defections. According to the 2023 Bayelsa State Government Report, oil community residents have a life expectancy of 41 years. That number was not produced by the APC government, it was not produced by the PDP before it. It is the accumulated result of decades of oil extraction without adequate environmental remediation, without adequate community health investment, and without adequate development delivery through the institutions, the NDDC, the state governments, the federal interventions that were supposed to address it.
According to opposition politicians and civil society organizations, the NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission, established specifically to address underdevelopment in the oil-producing zone, has, according to an ICPC audit, recorded significant financial irregularities under recent management. Government officials dispute some of these characterizations. Independent analysts say the NDDC's track record of project completion is a matter of public record that any community in the South-South can assess by looking at the project in their own area. For Emeka's workshop, the specific consequence of the political realignment is uncertainty about whether the APC governor, who replaced the PDP governor without an election, will manage the state's resources in ways that reach workshops like his, schools like his apprentices attend, and healthcare facilities like the ones his elderly mother uses. That uncertainty is not resolved by the defection. It will only be resolved by what happens over the next 18 months. The international dimension of the South-South political story is specific and connected to global resource politics. According to international environmental organizations, including the United Nations Environment Programme, the Niger Delta environmental situation, the result of decades of oil extraction, represents one of the most severe cases of environmental damage in the world. UNEP's 2011 report on the Ogoni region specifically found contamination of groundwater at levels that far exceeded internationally accepted safe limits. That report was published 15 years ago. International environmental organizations say remediation has been incomplete. International oil companies, according to public statements and financial filings, are in the process of divesting from Nigerian onshore oil assets. Shell, Total Energies, and Chevron have all announced or completed sales of significant onshore assets. According to energy analysts, this divestment is driven by a combination of ESG investor pressure in home markets, international climate commitments, and the commercial complexity of Nigerian onshore operations. When international oil companies exit, the assets transfer to Nigerian buyers, and the environmental liabilities of decades of operations potentially transfer with them to companies and to a state that has not demonstrated the same level of international accountability for environmental remediation. For Nigerians in the diaspora from the South-South, this combination, governor defections, ongoing environmental damage, international oil company divestment, represents a specific set of concerns about the long-term future of their home communities that goes beyond the 2027 election cycle. The governance of the post-divestment South-South, who manages the assets, who is accountable for remediation, who ensures that derivation revenue reaches communities rather than disappearing into patronage networks that have historically absorbed it, is a question that will outlast any single election result. International advocacy organizations that monitor Nigeria's environmental situation and Niger Delta community rights are watching how the South-South's political realignment affects the governance of these specific issues. A government that has consolidated political control of all 6 South-South governorships but has not produced visible improvements in environmental remediation, community life expectancy, or NDDC project delivery, that gap between political control and development delivery is the specific accountability question that will shape both the 2027 election result and the international governance assessment of Nigeria's management of its oil wealth. Let me present both sides of this argument honestly, because the South-South delivery question has legitimate arguments on more than one side. The strongest argument for why governor alignment will successfully deliver the South-South for APC in 2027 comes from the political scientists who study Nigerian patronage politics. According to these analysts, the governor delivery model works in Nigeria because elections are not primarily ideological contests, they are patronage contests. The governor who controls the state budget, the LGA chairman, the community project allocation, and the security environment of the election has structural tools that community-level resistance cannot easily overcome. According to this argument, the 41-year life expectancy and the contaminated water are real, but they have existed for decades under both PDP and APC-aligned state governments. They are not the thing that decides whether a community's ward chairman mobilizes or demobilizes on election day. What decides that is whether the ward chairman's own family benefits from the governor's patronage network, and that benefits runs through whoever controls the state's resources. The strongest argument against the governor delivery model producing clean APC results is the one that the 2023 presidential election record supports. According to INEC's verified results, there were multiple states where governorship and presidential results diverged significantly in 2023. According to political analysts, this divergence is not random. It reflects a pattern in which voters use their presidential vote to express preferences that their local political environment does not allow them to express through their governorship vote. The presidential ballot is the one place where the patronage machine has the least direct leverage because the president is not directly managing anyone's LGA chairman or community development project at the ward level. The claim that cannot be confirmed and that NaijaNewsWatch will not present as fact is the allegation that specific financial packages were offered to specific governors to secure their defections. According to media reports citing unnamed sources, financial arrangements were allegedly made as part of the defection process. Government officials have denied these allegations. Without documented confirmation, this channel will not characterize the defections as having been financially induced. The pattern of defections is documented. The alleged motivation is disputed. The 2027 election result will reveal what the community-level consequences of those defections actually are. Here is what to watch between now and 2027, the three signals that will tell you whether governor alignment translates into presidential delivery in the South-South. First signal, whether any formal community-level institution in the South-South, an Ijaw National Congress, a Pan-Niger Delta Forum, or a major traditional ruler council, issues a public statement on the 2027 presidential election. According to political analysts, these institutions do not typically make formal presidential endorsements, but when they do engage publicly on electoral matters, their statements carry significant weight with communities who look to them for political guidance rather than the governor's political machine.
A formal statement from the Ijaw National Congress about the 2027 presidential race in either direction would be one of the most consequential electoral signals to emerge from the region. Second signal, the Rivers State political temperature as the Fubara-Wike relationship evolves. According to media reports in June 2026, the political arrangement between Governor Fubara and Minister Wike is showing signs of strain. Fubara has been building political networks among state assembly candidates that are loyal to him rather than to Wike's preferred network. According to political analysts, a formal public split between Fubara and Wike, which has not yet occurred, would fracture Rivers State's APC alignment at exactly the moment when the party needs the state to deliver clean presidential results. Third signal, NDDC project delivery between now and the 2027 campaign season. According to government officials, APC alignment between South-South governors and the federal government is supposed to produce better federal attention to the region's development needs through the NDDC and through federal project allocation. If by the second half of 2026, there are visible, completed, community-acknowledged NDDC projects in the South-South's most densely populated communities, projects that people like Emeka can see, touch, and describe to their neighbors, the development argument for APC alignment becomes politically credible at the community level. If NDDC continues its documented pattern of awarded but uncompleted projects through this period, the argument evaporates, and the governor alignment that was supposed to produce better development produces only the political perception of abandonment. Best case scenario for APC. The Fubara-Wike relationship stabilizes, the NDDC delivers visible project completions in key Delta and Rivers communities, Ijaw civil society organizations maintain political neutrality on the presidential race, the governor machinery mobilizes effectively, Emeka in Port Harcourt decides that his fuel prices have improved enough through Dangote refinery competition and that the political stability of APC alignment is preferable to uncertainty. He votes APC in the presidential race, just as his governor did, and the South-South delivers the APC the constitutional spread requirement across its states. Worst-case scenario for APC, the Fubara-Wike split goes public and fractures the Rivers State APC delivery machine, the NDDC produces no visible project completion before the campaign season, the Ijaw National Congress or Pan-Niger Delta Forum issues a statement characterizing APC's South-South consolidation as political capture rather than development partnership. Community-level resistance coalesces around opposition candidates. Emeka in Port Harcourt walks into the polling booth thinking about his contaminated neighborhood water supply and his apprentices' school fees and his mother's health. and he votes differently from his governor, just as Nasarawa's voters voted differently from their governor in 2023. Let us come back to Emeka in his workshop in Port Harcourt. At the beginning of this video, he asked the question that South-South communities are quietly asking everywhere. Can South-South governors actually deliver the region for Tinubu, or is there a gap between the political map the elites have drawn and the choice the communities will make? Here is the honest, evidence-based answer. Governor alignment is a real and significant political tool. The machines that South-South governors control, the LGA chairman, the project allocation, the security environment, the public narrative, are not nothing. They produce real advantages in presidential voting environments. Political analysts who study Nigerian elections consistently find that governor alignment shifts presidential results in measurable directions. But the South-South is not a blank electoral canvas waiting to be colored by whoever holds the governorship. According to the political history of the region, its community institutions, the Ijaw youth groups, the town unions, the traditional councils, the women's market associations have demonstrated a capacity to assert community-level electoral preferences that diverge from governor-level alignment. That capacity has been tested before, it will be tested again in 2027, and the specific conditions that would make that community-level assertion most likely: an NDDC without visible project delivery, a 41-year life expectancy that has not improved, a Fubara-Wike relationship that fractures publicly, Ijaw community organizations that speak out. Those conditions are not hypothetical, they are present. Whether they produce the divergence that community-level resistance requires is what October 2027 will answer. My measured conclusion: South-South governors can influence the 2027 presidential result in their states. They cannot guarantee it. The gap between influence and guarantee will be determined by what happens in the communities, in the NDDC project lists, in the community water supply, in the Ijaw political institutions between now and election day. And the people whose choices will determine that gap are not in government house. They are in workshops like Emeka's, buying fuel, fixing cars, and quietly deciding what their ballot paper is going to say. The question I want to leave you with is this. Based on the evidence we have walked through today, the governor alignments, the community resistance, the NDDC track record, the 41-year life expectancy, do you believe South-South governors can deliver the region for APC in 2027? Or do you think the communities will vote differently from their governors when the booth closes and the secret ballot decides? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, I just want to sincerely thank you for spending your time with NaijaNewsWatch today. Your support means more than you probably realize. Every view, every thoughtful comment, every like, every share, and every subscription helps this channel continue to grow and gives me the motivation to keep researching and creating balanced, in-depth documentaries about Nigerian politics. If today's video gave you a clearer understanding of what is happening beyond the headlines, please share it with someone who would appreciate it too. Thank you for being part of this community. I will see you in the next documentary. Until then, stay informed, keep asking questions, and as always, stay sharp.